Hi, everyone. I am Heather, and I want to welcome you to Magnificent Authors Podcast, brought to you by Magnificent Mamas. This is the show where we'll celebrate the magic of storytelling and the power of words. I'm your host, Heather, and each week I'll be sitting down with incredible authors from all walks of life to explore their creative journeys, uncover their writing secrets, and delve into worlds they create. Whether you are an aspiring writer, a passionate reader, or simply curious about the minds behind your favorite books, this is the podcast for you. So grab a cozy blanket, pour yourself a cup of tea, and get ready to be inspired by the magnificent authors who join us. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. I am Heather with Magnificent Mamas and Magnificent Authors Podcast. We're joined here today with author Bec. Bec, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Bec from Australia, so Bec Walraven. I wrote the book Hide and Seek, which is a children's book, and we'll get into talking about that soon. But hi from Australia.
Well, hi from the US.
Yeah.
It's great to have you on here today and to connect with you and to learn about your book and writing and whatnot. I love your artwork behind you, by the way.
Awesome.
Very
Yeah,
beautiful.
thanks. Yeah, a lovely savor of horrible, messy ADHD background.
Hey, I get it completely.
Stick a painting there, and everyone thinks it's a lovely painting, but there's really chaos behind there. So, yeah.
Hey, it's all good. I've got chaos back here, so
yeah. So I see that. That's cool. Gaming is cool. So
yeah,
all these
husband's
books here,
playing a game.
all these books here are my husband's like Warhammer books. So
Yeah,
we're a big geeky gamey family. So we paint models. We do play Warhammer. We play Legos. Yeah, we play games. So yeah, no, it's cool.
definitely. My bedroom is like Star Wars, Dragon Ball Z, all sorts of stuff, starting like Marvel and DC stuff. So
yeah, right. Yeah,
I get it completely.
My kids would love your room.
Definitely. So do you want to go ahead and tell me a little bit about your book?
Sure. So my book, as I said before, is Hide and Seek, and it is a book, I guess, aimed at and for children trying to understand neurodiversity or who are neurodiverse. It's about a brush-tailed possum named Walter who tries to play hide and seek with his friends because he loves playing hide and seek, and he lives on a farm. And you would think that a possum would have plenty of places to hide on a farm, but Walter can't stay still. So his tail's always wagging and he just fidgets with it and he moves about, I guess, all the time. And he tries to hide with his animal friends who are staying very quiet and still, like Kevin the pig in the mud, very still and quiet. But no, he's just thrashing about and giving the spot away, and mud goes everywhere, as one of the examples. And he feels quite disheartened. And his friends try to nicely tell him that maybe he should hide on his own instead of giving everyone else the spot away. Feeling a little bit disheartened, he goes for a walk down the farm and a gust of wind comes by and the wheat is swaying in the wind, and Walter soon realizes that he can actually hide in the wheat, and his tail will blend in nicely with the swaying wheat. And and it's a story about, I guess, trying to find your way in the world while still being able to be part of, I guess, the world. Yeah, finding a way in the world and self-acceptance. Yeah.
That's awesome. And you know, having it geared at children is perfect because you know, that's the right age for them to accept themselves, learn about the world, you know, become a person, a unique person, if that makes sense any.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense, and become their own self without having to mask too much, because that's something that I guess I got diagnosed with ADHD at 37, and I'm 38 now.
Wow.
So for me, I got diagnosed through my son because he has his autism, ADHD, and I guess like I didn't realize how much I was masking in life, and I guess didn't want that for my son because you come to some realization. So it's not about me in the book. It's actually about my son who can't sit still. We call him the fidget monster, and he loves it. He calls himself the fidget monster. So, but I didn't quite make a book about a fidget monster. I thought a lovely little squirrel was probably a nicer way of expressing that instead of referring to himself as a monster. It's just his. We have a lot of jokes in our family because he does go on the medication for school because he needed it for school. We weren't going to do it. But he needs it for school at least because he was just running around the classroom and couldn't sit still. And so when he comes home from school and he's acting a bit wild, to say, "Hey mate, is your medication running off?" And he laughs, and we'll have a joke, and he'll say, "Oh, my medication ran out," if he does something silly. So we have a bit of a joke about it. That's our way of doing it. So I guess telling it via a children's story was the way to go. And yeah, that's I guess why I did it that way.
My daughter is 16 now, but she's got ADHD, and they have her on medicine that she takes at night, which is supposed to kick in during the daytime. But like, she used to bounce off the walls, and like when I first brought her to the doctors about ADHD, they were like, "Oh yeah, I can see it," because she's just like zooming and wild. I get it completely.
Yeah, so I guess that helped with writing the book. I do have a daughter too. I just want to mention that because I think we're talking about my son, but I do want to mention, so I'm not forgetting that I do have a daughter. But she's only 5. We haven't explored any of that with her yet because she hasn't started school or anything. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So
do you have any writing background, or just decided to write one day?
Well, I used to write as a kid and a teenager. I used to just write like fan fiction, stuff like that. I used to write poems as well. And I got I won a competition once as a kid writing a poem. So I thought that was pretty cool when I was young. But then I sort of stopped writing. I went through, like a few mental health things, partially, I guess, because I was masking and I didn't realize who I was and things like that, and had a few issues, and I sort of got rid of all of my writing. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I had there was just a few things that came up about my writing that I wasn't happy about, and so I stopped for quite a while. And then I would occasionally write little bits and pieces of things, or I'd read something and I go, "Oh, that's kind of cool," and whatnot. So I've picked it up again recently, and I'd always wanted to write a book. Actually, a book for, I guess, adults or young adults, not a children's book. I never saw myself as a children's book author, but it worked out well, and I guess I was kind of able to express what I wanted to in that way, so it worked out. Yeah.
What do your kids think about your book?
They loved it. They were actually my biggest critics. They helped point out things in the book. There was one time where Walter and the sheep are hiding in a gum tree. So I tried to make it Australian, but also not too Australian that it doesn't appeal to everyone. But if it's a farm on a tree, it's going to be a gum tree, right? So they're hiding in the gum tree, and Walter rustles the leaves around, obviously, because he can't stay still. And my daughter's like, "Where are the leaves he's rustling?" Because there's like the tree, and there's like a little bit of bush, but there's like no actual leaves rustling. And I'd be like, "Oh, I have to go back and get the image fixed and whatnot." I did have someone else do the images, which I ended up taking over because they didn't do a very good job, but that's okay. It is what it is. I've learned so many things, which I'm sure we'll touch on. But so there were things like that, and then my son would be like, "Oh, why is Walter looking worried under there?" And I was like, "Oh, because there's another hiding spot that he finds later on as well." And I was like, "Oh, because he's worried he'll get found now." And he's like, "But the problem was solved. Why does he look worried?" I'm like, "Oh, so they were actually really good to pitch it to and sit down with multiple copies of and sit through and look at things that I couldn't see from my perspective, writing it as an adult for children." So it was really good like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And a lot of kids have found it quite entertaining. One child actually has asked me to sign their book for them, which I find kind of cute. Not my child, like someone else's child. So I thought that was really cute. So it's being well received, which is fantastic. But it's only been out. It got delayed. It was supposed to come out in December, first of all, but then I had some issues with I did self-publish, but I did do went with a vanity publisher for a few formatting and illustrations, and I've learned that lesson. I ended up doing it all myself in the end and just publishing it all myself. I was like, I don't even know spent a lot of money on something that I actually ended up being able to do myself.
Yeah.
But so it's supposed to come out in December, but it ended up coming out just like 2 weeks ago. So it's still brand new on the market, which is great. But
Still in launch phase.
Yeah, it's on. I mean, it's on Amazon. It's on KDP, Kindle Unlimited, and I'm still waiting on Ingram Spark to do all their bits and pieces, which is fine. I don't want to rush the process because I found one issue with the bleed on one of my books anyway, before it properly went live, and that didn't get fixed in Ingram Spark before the Amazon did. So it hasn't printed with Ingram Spark, which is great, and then the Amazon ones, thankfully, were just author copies. So at least, so it gave me a chance. Going on Amazon first gave me a chance to fix it before Ingram Spark got a handle on it, which is good. So yeah.
I was gonna say, I saw somebody post in a group yesterday how Amazon printed their book upside down.
I've had a few issues. I've had a few issues with that myself. I had some blurry text, and I had a line go through. Not on this book. I wish I brought it in now, but like I might change some of the pages. But there was like a white line down the bottom. You can't see it on this book because it's not on this book. But I've got some blurry. I just brought this as a prompt in case I needed to. I don't know. But there's some text in here that you probably can't see it, but it's like really blurry. I don't know if you can see that.
I can see it a little bit, but I don't think a lot of people would notice it.
Yeah, but I paid for like the premium printing, and I want it to be like, I feel like, but the white line down the bottom of the page, which I didn't bring in, which I had of, on some of the books, I don't want to, like, it's like it didn't, they've moved it up a bit and they've left a white line. So I knew that you can wait for Ingram Spark and they'll put it on KDP for you, and their quality is, I've heard that their quality is generally better, but I don't know yet. I can't say from experience, but I wanted to launch it. I wanted to get it out there, and I didn't want to wait. And I've been able to print author copies myself and distribute them, and so I've been able to get a roll on it. So and then it's actually I've been thankful for it because I've been able to see the mistakes before I've gone and waited that whole long process at Ingram Spark. So I'm glad I did that in the end. So
would you say your publishing, not going through the vanity publishing, was much better?
Oh yeah. I just kept looking at what they were doing, and I kept telling myself, and I couldn't work it out. Why? Like, I don't know why I'm not happy with this. I don't know. I mean, there are a few other bumps which I'll get at, but the kind of the end product that they showed me, I just looked at it. I'm like, I'm really not happy with this. I don't know why. I just don't like it. And they didn't do the things that I wanted to do. Like, for example, in the book, I've got, I'll show you with one here. So I've got like some text here, and I've got text here on the pictures. Yeah. So they just put it all on one page, which is okay, but I wanted it over 2 pages on purpose, especially when I have like a big lot of text here and then more here. They were trying to squeeze it all on one page and have the image, and they did it as a 6x9, which is fine, but I just kept looking at books that were 6x9 and going, my book looks better as an 8x8, and I kept asking them to kind of change it, and then it was going to be like so much money to reformat it, but I didn't ask for that size in the first place. And then a lot of the images were wrong and didn't line up correctly with text. So I had a lot of things like that where I even sent them an actual layout, like a storyboard of the book and how it should look. And I wasn't getting that back. And I did I wanted the ebook slightly different because of the way, how sometimes the ebook lines up different to the print book. So because when you scroll through, it's different to when you're looking at like a book, a paper book.
Formatting.
So I wanted those changed, and it was just this whole big drama that they were like, oh, well, then the pictures don't line up and you need an extra image. And I'm like, I'm not paying you for an extra image. It does line up. I'll prove it. And I ended up just doing it myself in the size that I wanted. And I'm much happier with that. And then some of the illustrations had like weird lines on it. And it just, they were wanting me to approve the images one at a time, but I kept saying I need to see all the images in context, because if you're doing, say, the background where Walter is in the mud with Kevin, on a side note, I called the pig Kevin because Kevin Bacon, anyway.
Nice.
Just my own little joke. But he's in the mud with with Kevin and is making a mess everywhere. And then the next scene is him holding his tail saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be fidgety." They've put him just on the farm. And it's like, no, but he still needs to be in the mud because he's still in the mud with Kevin. So you can't just change his scene. He hasn't suddenly gone to the other parts of the farm. So I couldn't approve them one at a time. I needed to see them all in context. So it was really hard in that respect. And I've learned that, which I actually asked them in the first place if I could see them all in context. And they're like, no, we give them one at a time. And once you approve, then those ones, then we do more. And then so I'd approve things and I'd go back and change it and say, well, I'm changing it because you haven't done it right in context. Like clearly, you've done one image and then not read the story and followed through with the same background. So there were just a whole bunch of things like that. And because they're in America and I'm in Australia, they worked nighttime at my nighttime. And then so I was up at like 3 a.m. trying to resolve things. And
it's so hard.
It's so hard. Like I don't mind getting up at 3 a.m. because I kind of my sleep is not fantastic anyway. And I kind of have weird sleeping patterns anyway. So that didn't bother me so much as the time it took to rectify the changes. But I am glad that I ended up taking it over myself. And I am glad because they were pushing for their own ISBN, whereas I have my own ones on purpose because of distribution. And I think they were just going to give me an Amazon one, which, if you just want to go on Amazon, that's fine, but I don't want that. So just things like that they were trying to charge me for things like copyright. And in Australia, you don't have to pay copyright on that. In Australia, you get automatic copyright. So they were saying, you have to pay $700 to write the copyright information in your book. I'm like, well, no, I don't have to pay any money because in Australia, and I know different countries are different. I don't have to pay any money for that. And you can just write that copyright and, Rebecca Walraven, blah, 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 down the bottom. And I don't have to pay for that. So it was this big struggle and any little change I wanted was going to be so much money. Some of it was my bad because I was learning. Some things I got wrong, and I'm totally happy to admit that. And made them go back and change things that were my fault. And I was happy to pay for those things. Again, I was learning the process, but some things that was just. So I ended up doing it myself in the end. But I just still paid them because they did do my illustrations in the end, and I didn't want them to turn around and say, hey, these are our illustrations, and they did offer a money back guarantee and all that. But again, I don't want to cause trouble with them. I'm happy at the end of the day with the images, even when I made some changes and one of my friends helped make a couple little changes with the images, got there in the end, and I still couldn't have done it without those images. So, I was happy just to pay them for their time and all that. And, they did all the fonts, like all the font for the heading here and all this kind of font here. So they did do things, and I still did get, they were having a sale at the time, so I still did get it at a discounted rate. So I was like, you know what, I'm not going to cause it too much of a headache to have this argument with them. I'm just going to, say, cool, thanks for your time. And I was happy in the end that I took it over myself, and I ended up doing it all ADHD brain again, doing it all in like 8 hours, reformatting and cutting it all up and sticking it on Amazon.
Oh my!
And like 8 hours, reformat.
That's wild. Yeah. I think the formatting part is definitely a challenge. The editing, not so much, but the formatting part, no thanks.
Well, I used to work for a copy editing company, and whilst I didn't do the copy editing myself, I did learn a lot of the formatting. I hate it so much with a passion. I have to be organized in my chaotic brain, but it is what it is. Yeah. I didn't do the copy editing too much, so I did pay for a copy editor because I feel like even though I've got a pretty good grasp of the English language, because it was an academic company that I worked for, even though I've got a grasp of English quite well, I still found, even when I put it through a copy editor, there were actually just little nuances of, I guess, writing that I missed, and little commas and things like that, which inherently don't matter so much because a lot of people, especially when they're children's books, don't notice those things, but I know. And it was good to still, I don't mind paying for a copy editor. I think that was one thing that I paid for that I don't regret paying for at all. And I think it's always important. Yeah. And if I continue again to write more books, I will definitely continue to pay for copy editing. But other than that, I'm still glad that I still got someone to do images and a few fonts and things like that for me. So yeah.
Yeah. There's so much that goes into it. I mean, even just a children's book. And I
Mm,
don't mean it, that sounded bad, but
mm,
I guess there's more
no,
in a way in children's books because you have the, the
mm,
pictures and everything like that.
yeah,
But
yeah. You have
it's,
yeah. You've got to, and you got to make sure the images line up with the picture, and that the right picture is showing the right thing, and it's got the right background, because they will pick up on it, like my kids did. Oh, why isn't there any leaves rustling? Oh, so
yep.
they will pick up on it. And my daughter at the time was 4, so she's 5 now. She was 4. If a 4-year-old can pick up on that, then someone else is going to pick up on it too. So
Oh, yeah,
someone else's 4-year-old's
definitely.
going to pick up. So my target audience. So yeah.
What do you hope that readers take away from your book?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. We finished.
No,
Sorry.
I corrected myself.
Oh, uh, they'll. I guess I'm hoping that they will read the books, and sort of the children who fit into the neurodiverse world will take away that it's okay to be yourself, and it's okay to I guess accept yourself for who you are, and things may be a challenge, but there are always other ways that you can make yourself amazing. And because he ended up being the best hider at the end of the day. They couldn't find him at all. He had to come out and reveal himself where he was. So at the end of the day, he was the best because he found a way to make who he was, and not fit with the dynamic. I guess that's, you shouldn't try to fit with that dynamic, but I guess achieve the goal that he wanted to. He was able to get himself in a way that he could use everything that he had uniquely for himself to do what he wanted to in life. And I think that that's important. And I think for people who aren't neurodiverse, or maybe they don't know that they're neurodiverse, and
Yeah.
they discover it later when they're 37, I think it's important for them to, I guess, everybody to understand that some people have their own way of expressing themselves or doing things, and it's not wrong. They just might need time and help to find the way to do that. So I think that that's the message overall, with the book.
People need to accept that people are different as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Not everyone's going to be
So,
perfect.
yeah.
And there's so many people out there that are neurodivergent, and it's used to be something, not as popular, not as discussed.
Mm,
And now it's coming around because there's so many people that are in some way, shape, or form. And it's
yeah.
not hidden away so much anymore.
And yeah,
But it's
and that
off.
was, sorry.
Go ahead. No,
Sorry.
go ahead.
That was the thing that I will do that occasionally. Sorry. Yeah.
You're okay.
Sorry. I guess that was part of one of the things that I thought, when I put, because in the subtitle it's got the word, it has like a heartwarming tale about self-acceptance and neurodiversity, and I was worried about putting the word neurodiversity in the actual front cover of the page, but so far I've only had one person actually ask me what neurodiversity is, so, and
Mhm.
everybody else has kind of understood that word, whereas I think even 10 years ago, if you put that in a book cover, people would go, well, what is this? And I guess it does pigeonhole my book into a certain category, but that's the whole point. I don't really care about that. So I want the people that is targeted at to read it. So that's the whole. I don't really care about the pigeonhole, because someone else sort of said that to me, that it's going to be people who are neurodiverse and only know what neurodiversity is are going to read it. And I'm like, absolutely the point. So yeah. You went away for a second there.
Definitely.
Oh, there you
There
go.
we go.
You're back. You're back. Yep. So yeah.
um, are
Yeah.
you planning to write any more books?
I am. I'm just sort of riding the high of this one first. I wasn't going to, but I've sort of learned so much that I kind of want to do it again. And I've got a few other ideas, but I'm trying to write them in a way that it's not exactly the same message, just with different characters and different images. So,
Yeah.
but they will all probably be, I've got a few ideas, and they'll all be like neurodiverse, like neuroaffirming, sorry, can't even say it, neuroaffirming books, but I have to sort of work out a few different bits and pieces. So for that, and I had
Definitely.
one character that I wanted to a certain name, and then I looked up other children's books, and there's like a similar book, but not similar, but with a character that there's like Doug and Hug. It's about hugs, but it's not actually about hugs, but we have hug in the cover, but there's a book called Don't Hug Doug out there. So I was like, it's not actually about that, but the cover would have worked really well, but I can't really copy that. So I have to think of my own unique way of expressing. It's not actually about hugs. It was just, yeah.
No, I get it.
Yeah, I have to think of my own unique way of expressing that without copying someone else, because I don't want to do that. So, however, I will read that book. So now to make sure that,
That's awesome. I do have to get ready to wrap up.
That's all right.
But it's been fun, and the time just flies by. I swear.
It does.
If you are okay with staying on after the call to chat for a second, would be awesome.
Yep.
And I just want to thank you so much for sharing your story and just to be so accepting and helpful to neurodivergent people, and supporting those children and adults. So
thank you very much for having me. I've enjoyed my first time. I hope it was all right. I was worried about
you were wonderful.
I was worried about that, but I'm sure I'll get better in time if more happens. So
you were wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that's a wrap on another episode of Magnificent Authors Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure to share another inspiring conversation with a talented author. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Magnificent Authors Podcast so you don't miss any of our upcoming conversations with amazing writers. And be sure to check out Magnificent Mamas on our website, which is www.magnificentmamas.us, or on our Facebook page for more inspiring content from incredible authors. I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. What resonated with you the most? Head over to Facebook or leave a comment on our website and let me know. Until next time, keep reading, keep writing, and keep those imaginations soaring.